So break the game down. Carmen, what was your overall take on the game?
Well, I missed the first goal because I was getting food, which is
Always.
usually
Yeah.
what I
Well,
happens
show
when
it on
they.
the clips. Let's bring
Oh,
it up.
that's right. Let's see. Let me pull this up. See, I can't talk and do this all at the same time, people.
All right, I'll talk about
Yeah,
it.
you talk.
So in the first minute of the game, we give the ball away, and it's interesting. Maybe you can freeze it. Here, let me.
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna let you do it.
Yeah.
Is it sharing?
I gotta share it, but
All
get,
right.
get it to where you're going. But
just give me a second.
this is when I went in to get food. Oh wait, you paused.
So they didn't actually show it, which is too bad on the highlight clip because I wanted to see exactly how we gave it away because I couldn't quite remember how we gave it away. But one thing about this, so I was looking at surveying the field right before we gave this up, right? And we actually had 3 in the back, and they were straight 1, 2, 3 across the middle, which is kind of, I've been telling you that when you only have 3 in the back, they should be straight across the middle like that. But they were really, really tight to each other, and this ball is given away, and they play down our left, down their right, and the left of the center back, which is Tierna Davidson, she kind of was like, I'm a center back. And she was like really, really late to reacting to this. By the time she took off, the Japanese player was already ahead of her. Then she takes a bad angle, right? And it's really shambolic defending. So the Japanese player gets to run right in on the box, and what a finish.
That was a great finish.
That was a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
But Tierna Davidson, I thought, and maybe you can comment, Carmen, I thought she was awful. Actually, you can go back in this second clip. They showed a little bit more of it. Can you go back a few seconds to show the second version of it? Because I hadn't seen that. Go a little bit. Yeah.
Right here. There we go.
I'm good.
You got it.
So we gave it up, and they just played immediately over the top. And I actually thought our left back was further up the field. There was 3 all the way back. So the left back, who in this case was Nicewander, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she was running up the field, and it wasn't her fault. She had to turn around and run back when we gave it away. It's clearly Tierna Davidson's the whole way. Maybe she got back quickly enough that it really Tierna Davidson thought, well, maybe she can get there. I don't know. Maybe it confused things. Right.
That seems slow.
Yeah.
But it's also a pretty nice delayed shot that snuck through there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she should have closed that space a little faster.
Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing about it is I was watching it afterwards. And so it looked to me on that play like we were really like 3 in the back. Like we just had 3 at the time. And one of the things as it went on, it was pretty clear to me that we were doing one of these way too cute by half, where it's 4 in the back always, but then, when we're on offense, it's 3 in the back. And when we're not, it's 4 in the back, which I'm always for. Like, you're like, what are you talking about? Yep. But I'm for it in a sense that the players should be making a run when they can see it. But I felt like it was tactics. Okay, we're going to play 4 in the back when we're defending and 3 in the back when we're on offense, like almost an airplane, an automatic going forward. So that's where it gets too cute by half.
Does it feel like this is time for tactical board?
Well, I want to do the tactical board in a second because I really want to talk about the center of the pitch. So, Carmen, it was Coffee and Haran. Did you notice what formation Coffee and Haran were playing in the center of the pitch?
I didn't notice what that because it was officially Jaden Shaw was the other one, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I felt like
so Jaden Shaw was clearly a free attacking role, and I want to talk about that in a minute.
Yep.
But she was clearly a
right.
The Almiron role, if you will, or the Almada role, if you will. Always the attacking, free license to go.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what formation. I mean, Coffee was back pretty much all the time.
Yes. And
I don't know the yes and. Is that the improv thing?
yes,
and.
let's go back to let's go to the tactical board. Can you pull
Instead
up
of
the
saying
tactical
no,
board?
you say yes and.
Tactical board. All right, I'm
Yeah.
getting there, folks. I don't know why I've forgotten how to share screens, but I have. Okay.
Yeah.
And share. Live stream. And we're gonna add this puppy.
Scene.
Oh, let me get rid of this. Add.
There we go.
Okay, and then make it full screen because I'm blind.
Well, now you're in
There
control.
it is.
Yeah,
You're
control.
now you're driving the bus.
All right. So I have it here. So this was the back three. Obviously, Germa got hurt. So Germa's our only good center back. She got hurt, which was a terrible blow, but she was already on the bench for this game. So that suggests it's not a huge problem. For the game that's going on right now that Carmen and I keep checking her.
I'll say it's over.
It is over?
It's over.
What?
You're smiling.
Yes, USWNT penalties, 5-4.
Hey, all right.
Yep.
I have that recorded. Gonna watch. Okay. So in any case, this is what I was talking about. The way too cute by half. So Nice Wonder often it was her almost all the time. It was very Atlanta United-esque. Fox was staying at home a lot, and Nice Wonder was going forward a lot. But here's the thing. So they played the dreaded double pivot. So this was not Coffee at center back and Haran with a free roll. This, as I watched it all the time, they were like this. And do you remember Haran influencing the game that much?
No.
Particularly early. Now, Haran did influence the game in the last 30 minutes because they brought on another defender and she moved up to this spot when Shaw went off. And then all of a sudden she came to life.
Got it. Okay.
Lindsay Haran, in my opinion, and I'd like to hear what you have to say, Carmen, is not a defensive midfielder and is not a double pivot.
I know she's not a defensive midfielder. That much I know.
Yeah.
We need her up there, like
she,
causing trouble.
I think people, and this is, I think, also true of Muyumba, right? This is a case where a coaches mistake a player who has defensive abilities, as Haran does, as Muyumba has, for a defensive midfielder, because you do not want an all-action Muyumba or an all-action Haran as a defensive midfielder, because when she has to play this dreaded double pivot and she's back like this all the time, really, really limits her creativity and the freedom to go. And it was killing us.
So
now defensively, it was okay. Like they actually played it pretty well. They always had a player back. Sometimes I felt like last year with Josetu and Muyumba was a disaster, the dreaded double pivot, because they didn't know where each other were. And a lot of times it was nobody, as we pointed out. This was not the case here. But I did think that it was over tactical and it was really limiting Haran, who has to be a big player in this team.
And do you think it was just the reaction to saying our third center mid, or Shaw, is basically one of the top folks, so we're going to have Haran pull back? And so, like,
but is Shaw more like the Almada of the team?
Well, so I asked that to Carmen because I have a very distinct opinion on this.
A distinct opinion about whether she's the Almada of the team?
Correct.
Or, the movement up front during that whole game, I felt like, who was it? Swanson, Shaw, Rodman, for the most part. You would look up and they were just in different places all the time. So a little less Almada, who kind of, I felt like, but yeah, she could have been where Rodman is on the tactical board, where Swanson was on the tactical board, but I felt like was more of like a forward as opposed to Almada.
Yeah. So I loved Swanson and Rodman interchangeable. In fact, I thought Swanson was the best player in the game. She was electric. She was popping up in different places. It's amazing to have her back. Had she been in the World Cup, it might have been very, very different.
It would have been.
Even with the coach we had.
It would have been.
It would still would have been. I still would not have picked them to win, even with her. But anyway, here's the thing. Shaw, to me, looked physical, good on the ball, did not look like she has the movement of an Almiron or an Almado at all.
Not creativity.
Didn't have the movement in mind. So to me, what I would have said is Shaw looks like that. She looks like a prototypical number 9 that Morgan's playing. And what they did was, because of Morgan, You know, they don't want to
Uh-huh.
displace the amazing veteran, and Morgan scored a lot of goals. So they played them together, and Shaw's bumped into this like off the ball
Interesting.
play. And to me, it's poor because they're the same player.
So who would you put in that 10 position then?
Is she on the
Sanchez.
roster?
No.
I was about to say, I'm like, I haven't heard her in a minute.
She's been amazing. So she just transferred to the Courage.
Okay.
Right. She's been amazing in NWSL. She's scored goals. She's had assists. She is that movement kind of player. I'm not saying it has to be Sanchez, but it should be a Sanchez-like player. The obvious one is Rose Lavelle, who wasn't available.
Right.
But Shaw is not that player. Anybody who's thinking Shaw, now I don't know. You know, we have yet to see. Macario made her debut from after the injury after a long time.
Yeah.
She maybe could be a more creative of that kind of player. I'm not sure whether she's going to be who she's going to be after the injury.
Now, I will say that did you watch the first half of this game?
I was.
Not this game.
Tonight's game,
the Canada game.
I have it recorded.
Okay. Well, sorry to ruin it for you.
Yep.
But they started Jaden Shaw in Swanson's. No, which one? Basically, it was Swanson, Morgan Smith across the front, and the three in the middle were Sonnet, Coffee, and Haran. Haran was up in the stuff today.
So that is bringing in I was gonna say that when Sonnet came on and Haran moved up, Sonnet was way better defensively, and we looked a lot more stable. Now, obviously, you know, for the longest time in the U.S. defensive midfield, we had Ertz, right, and that's all you needed. And they've been desperately trying to figure out some player to replace that.
Right.
Coffee, not that player. She cannot do it by herself.
No. She
looks more like a dreaded double pivot if she has to be. And honestly, when you have a double pivot, right? I mean, think, you know, Xavi and Iniesta, who could see it and were playing all the time. That's like the, you know, the holy grail of double pivot, right? And they always knew where they were. It was Xavi and Iniesta and Alonso, right? And they always had a guy. It was a triangle pivot, right? So that's amazing when you have three really interchangeable players and you can do that. I think to me the double pivot is way overused. It's a coach's excuse for when you don't have a guy who can really play defensive midfielder. You're like, oh, I got two midfielders, both of who can attack and play a little defense. I'm going to go with a double pivot. And the problem with that is unless those guys are tactically disciplined and can play off each other, you end up with nobody locking it down, nobody with that role. And it's just a sieve.
Don't see